Tonight on CTV News at 5.
It's just going to be such an exciting time for the next, 10 days.
Every color of the rainbow, Halifax prepares to host the region's biggest Pride Festival.
The warm welcome that we had pulling up, but then the amount of people who are also inside waiting in line, I mean, it's incredible.
And hometown hero Cheverie brings the Walter Cup home to New Glasgow.
And it's going to be clearing conditions tonight with some rain in the weekend forecast.
Live from the Maritimes News Center, this is CTV News at 5.
Good evening and welcome to CTV News at 5. I'm Maria Panopoulos. Thanks for joining us. First at 5 tonight, Halifax Pride. The 11-day festival kicked off yesterday and will attract over 150,000 people to dozens of events. CTV's Stephanie Seacos joins us with a preview of the biggest 2S LGBTQIA+ event in Atlantic Canada. Hi, Steph.
Maria, there will be several events taking place here at Garrison Grounds and across the municipality over the next several days to celebrate Halifax Pride. It was quiet at Garrison Grounds in Halifax this afternoon, but that won't be the case for long.
We've got some new programming, we've got some new performers, some of our regular events are getting bigger, and it's just going to be such an exciting time.
Halifax Pride is now officially underway, featuring dozens of events. A big draw is always the annual parade.
We're expecting about 122 entries, and I think about 80 of those are floats. We expect about 35, probably to 40,000 spectators to line the streets, and I think we've got something like 6,000 people walking in the parade.
There are lots of other highlights to look forward to over the next several days.
My absolute favorite event to run, bar none, is Queer Prom, which is for youth ages 12 to 18, and they all come out, they all get dressed up. Every year we have a theme, and I cry a little every year, and it's just the most special night of the festival.
While this year's festival has only just begun, next year is going to be extra special because Halifax will host Canada Pride.
We're super excited to welcome everyone here for Canada Pride from across Canada, hopefully from across the world. We're hoping some folks will travel from the U.S. and from Europe, and we just really want to show them how we do Pride here.
Organizers say they look forward to seeing new and old faces.
I really firmly believe that Pride is in many ways kind of like Thanksgiving or Christmas dinner. You come out and you see people you haven't seen since high school, you see people you work with, you see everyone that you know, and it's really such an incredible privilege to get to put on this event every night.
Of course, the big parade takes place tomorrow around downtown Halifax, beginning at noon and ending here at the festival site. Now, you'll want to make sure you find a spot along the parade route nice and early in order to check out those floats. Maria.
Good point. Thank you, Stephanie. CTV's Stephanie Seacos for us in Halifax this evening. And we'll talk to Kaylin a little later about how the weather will cooperate this weekend as well. All right, time to head over to the anchor desk where Todd Battis is standing by with a look at the day's headlines. Hi, Todd.
Yes, Maria, we're all interested in the weather because several wildfires are burning in the Maritimes again today. The largest at the moment is Nova Scotia's Mooseland Road fire. That's on the eastern shore. It's still burning out of control at this hour. About 100 cottages and year-round homes have been ordered evacuated. People are at sites that have been set up for them, and we'll have more on that 1,700-hectare wildfire coming up at 6 o'clock. So look, anyone who's heading to the parade perhaps tomorrow in Halifax, or maybe you're heading to Dartmouth, not only will you have to find a parking spot, you'll have to pay for it as well. The city starts charging for Saturday parking to help with the city's budget woes. It comes on top of an increase in parking rates. We'll have reaction at 6 o'clock. The New Brunswick government has launched a new program to strengthen mental health expertise. Family doctors and nurse practitioners will now collaborate with psychiatrists and other educators to improve access to mental health care. We'll explain what's involved in your newscast tonight. All right, let's get right to the Weather Center. Kaylin Mitchell, man of the hour, because a lot really is riding on the weather this weekend.
Yeah, so first of all, the weather looks great right now for the Pride Parade coming up tomorrow in Halifax. Much better than Sunday. Sunday morning looks quite rainy for that city and the province. Let's talk a little bit about the wildfire conditions in the Maritimes right now, the pros and cons with those. A pro is that temperatures for today were a little bit cooler, especially for any responders working on combating those wildfires and make it more comfortable. Now, a con for today was the fact that the temperatures were lower, but so was the relative humidity. There wasn't a lot of moisture in the air, and there still isn't a lot of moisture in the air around the Maritimes. There's a few very, very spotty pop-up showers that have developed afternoon into evening, but none of those look like they'll be in the vicinity of some of the bigger wildfires, and they're not going to be lasting very long as well, so no help from those. Another con for today was the fact that the winds were a little bit in the gusty side. Continue that way now as we're making our way into the first part of this evening, mostly out of the west and northwest, and being sustained in a lot of cases between around 15 and 30 kilometers per hour. And we're getting some gusts reported between 30 and 40 kilometers per hour. Now, the winds will be diminishing, becoming a little bit lighter as we make our way through tonight, so a little bit of good news there. Over on radar and satellite, partly cloudy conditions, and then you can see a couple isolated showers, mostly around the southeast of New Brunswick, and a few as well up around the northwest of that province. Those will be coming to an end as we make our way through this evening. We'll see some clearing conditions tonight. Tomorrow, a mix of sun and cloud, maybe a little bit of high smoke from the wildfires in Ontario. And then later in the weekend, we do have a round of rain moving in. So I will have more on that when I'm back a little bit later on. Maria.
Thank you, Kaylin. We will see you a little later on. Right now, time for our first break here on CTV News at 5. When we come back, though, we'll cut to black.
Hello, Nova Scotia. Hello, Halifax. Rod Black here with the sports news. Well, actually, it's news. I have a new book out called Cut to Black, and we're going to talk about it when we come back on this show. I'm taking it over. I'm taking this whole show over. I love this show.
It's time to register your rig for the 2026 Big Rigs, Big Hearts, Big Results Convoy. Get your crew together and participate in this day of fun for Special Olympics. The 15th annual convoy rolls through Dartmouth October 3rd. Visit truckconvoyns.ca.
Welcome back to CTV News at 5. So our next guest needs no introduction. For over 40 years, he's been one of Canada's most recognized sportcasters, from baseball to figure skating and everything in between. He has been part of some of the biggest moments in sport history, in recent history, that is. His new book, Cut to Black, highlights his legendary life in sports and maybe a few beer.
Maybe a lot of beer. I spent a lot of time in Halifax, Maria.
Oh, well, so you definitely had a little bit of beer.
Yes, for sure. Well, I'm not saying that. Well, yeah, probably, but I love this place. I just love the Maritimes. I love Halifax. I get a chance to come out here every year for the Progress Club dinner and work with my great friend Marnie Els right over here. She's likes to stay in the shadows, but she makes that event tick. It's the biggest and best sports event of the year, I think. And I'll tell you what, Haligonians and Nova Scotians, they love sports. That's what I love coming out here.
Yeah, absolutely true. But they also love you. We love to see you out here every year. And you keep on coming out. Such a commitment to the Maritimes, and we certainly appreciate it. This new book is so wonderful. Already on the bestseller list.
Yeah.
You must be so proud of it.
I got a lot of relatives.
Yeah.
They're buying all my books. I am, you know. Somebody asked me, why'd you write a book? And can you even write? It's a coloring book. No. You know, and I didn't really want to do, it's not really about me. It's not a memoir, but it's more about the stories. And I think my family and my wife were getting tired of me always telling the stories all the time and the inside stories. And I think there's some fun stuff in there. And I also think it's kind of a good tale and a journey of resilience. And you know what? It is a murder mystery.
Okay.
A romance novel.
Nonfiction. Yeah.
It really, in my mind, it's a love affair. A love affair with sports, and I've had that for my entire life.
Well, and let's talk a little bit about that, because some people might not realize that you're actually quite an accomplished athlete yourself. What was your sport when you were younger?
I was a javelin catcher. No.
And a joker.
Yeah, a joker. I played everything, and I think that's kind of how I took it to broadcasting. I played everything, and I played all day long, from morning until night. And when we didn't have phones, and we didn't have malls, and we didn't have video games, and that's what kids did. We went outside and we played, and I like to see that come back. And I think they still do and still can. But I played them all, and I always aspired to become a professional athlete, and I kind of got close. but maybe this was the next best thing.
Yeah, well, there's synergy in what you did end up doing. I have to tell you, there are a lot of young sportscasters and some older ones out there who certainly look up to you. Paul Hollingsworth comes to mind. He always speaks so highly of you. How do you feel that you have helped to shape that generation?
I grew up following. He was my hero when I was growing up, Paul Hollingsworth. No, say hi to Holly for me. When I was young, I was like this 15-year-old kid who got a chance to interview Howard Cosell.
Wow.
Howard Cosell. You know, he always talked like this. And I was really intimidated. And I remember how nice he was to me. And he was kind of this gruff old guy, curmudgeon-y guy. And I remember how nice he was and the people who helped me out along the way. And I always thought, you know, if I can do that for the young broadcasters who are out there, if they're going to ask me a question, ask me. And I think that's for everybody. I'm sure you get that as well. Ask me. I won't offer. I'll give you a hint, but ask me. And then, I'll give you some hints to be yourself and to try everything and do everything. And because this is the greatest industry. I mean, I know we're kind of getting into AI, and I know that we're losing stations around the world, but especially out here in Halifax, local is huge. People love that. And storytelling in the Maritimes, in Atlantic Canada, is number one on everybody's list. And that's what I loved. And I love the stories, telling the stories.
Speaking of stories, you have so many. There are so many in this book, but if you had to pick maybe a few of your most momentous sports events that you've been to, could you actually narrow it down?
The Halifax Progress Club Sports Celebrity Dinner. No, I've been lucky. I've kind of had this Forrest Gump existence where I've been, for whatever reason, I got a front row seat and I didn't have to pay for my ticket because I'm cheap. But I would say that, the Olympics definitely, getting a chance to call. Tessa Virtue and Scott Moyer, for some reason, always give me goosebumps whenever I think about them because I followed them when they were 7 and 9. Right. And in the Maritimes at a Canadian Championships, and I said on the air when I saw them, I said, they could be world champions someday. So following their journey was really cool. But I also think the Blue Jays winning the World Series in 1992 and 93, that was huge. Goodness. That was the first time we kind of kicked the American butts. Right. And I
blew the doors off.
Yeah, and so all of those, but also for me, it was also being part of news. I was on Canada AM for a couple of years, and my second day on the job, I got a word from someone like Marnie in my ear, said that planes had flown into the World Trade Center. In my second day, and it was 9/11, and we were live, Lisa LaFlamme and I, and it still resonates with me. It's still the story of our generation. And I'm a sports guy. I do scores and stories, and I live in the toy department, but suddenly it got very serious.
It's the human touch.
Yeah,
it's the human touch that really.
And that's what it is all about.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about, I think. People forget that sometimes, and we're all human. We all make mistakes, but at the same time, the beauty is that, and by the way, it's also great to be Canadian and tell those stories.
Isn't that the truth? Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
What an absolute pleasure.
I loved it.
You're headed to Chester.
Chester for a massive charity event tomorrow. Rob Steele and Bruce Bowser and Dion Phaneuf and Alicia Cuthbert for Chester Playhouse. I've never been to Chester. I've been all over here. So
you're in for a treat.
I may not make it back home. Because what is my title? What's my title?
Cut to Black, a legendary life in sports, and maybe a few beer.
A lot of beer this weekend.
lot of beer this weekend.
Cut to Black.
Oh, Rod, you're the best. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Here's Kaylin.
Thank you, Maria, and certainly great to see Rod. All right, today around the Maritimes, it was mostly a mix of sun and cloud. It was breezy, though, and temperatures and humidity levels were down compared to much of the rest of this week. It's a beautiful scene here at St. Bernard's Park in Enfield, Nova Scotia. I will have more on the forecast coming up after the break.
Lamb was headed to work this morning when he noticed a tiny little fur ball in the middle of his driveway. The mother was nowhere to be found, so after a call to Hope Swinimer, the baby bunny was headed to Hope for Wildlife.
So the rabbit is just a newborn, very, very tiny. The fact that it had ants all over it is an indicator that it could be orphaned, so it's always better to bring an animal in if they're covered in ticks or ants. It's really busy this time of year because it's the time of year when there's so many babies that might be leaving the nest or being born right now, and people are finding them. Everybody's busy. We can't even keep up with all the people that need wildlife picked up, so we're asking people to try and get it to one of our 5 drop-off places to help us out out with the huge load of injured animals in Nova Scotia.
Hope says the baby bunny appeared uninjured and it will be placed in an incubator and hand-fed until it is strong enough to hopefully be released back into the wild. Oh my goodness, Kaylin, what a teeny tiny, adorable little creature.
Just a little ball of fur right now, huh?
Yeah, and way to go, Mike Lamb, CTV cameraman, the hero of the day. Nice rescue.
Absolutely.
And now we'd like to call you a hero too, Kaylin, with a good forecast for the weekend, maybe?
Yeah, well, some needed summer rain actually in that weekend forecast. So let's take a look at our sunrise and sunset times. And for that, we're going to go to a view of the Billthorpe Walking Bridge here in Fredericton. And it was a fairly nice day. Things started off sunny and then some cloud cover developed as we went into it through the afternoon. Temperatures were down a little bit around the Maritime region. As we take a look at our weather systems map, we do have an area of high pressure that's sitting just off towards the west of us, centered right now over southern Ontario. And in behind that is a low pressure system that's currently coming into northern Ontario. Good news for some of the wildfires in northern Ontario. That weather system is bringing in some rain in the vicinity of some of those fires, not all of them, because they are spread out across a fair distance through northern Ontario, but yeah, some of the wildfires there getting some rain, and that's the same weather system that will be bringing us some rain here in the Maritimes basically Saturday night and into the first part of Sunday. More on that in a moment. As we take a look at things on radar though currently for this evening, there's a few sort of very spotty pop-up showers. Some of this may not even be reaching the ground. It might be virga, that's very light precipitation that starts to fall from the clouds. It's picked up by radar, but then it actually ends up evaporating before it reaches the ground. But if there are any showers present there, they are going to be coming to an end as we make our way through this evening. And the cloud cover that's around as well will be clearing up as we make our way towards midnight. The wind's getting lighter during the overnight. It is a fairly clear sky for the Maritime. Start of the day for tomorrow, we start to see some cloud cover increase from the west. It becomes a mix of sun and cloud for Saturday afternoon. By around the mid to late afternoon hours, there'll be a chance of showers in western areas of New Brunswick, and that's along the leading edge of that low pressure system and its associated weather fronts that will continue to bring in rain, drizzle, and fog into the Maritimes as we move through Saturday night and into Sunday. Now, by the time we get to Sunday morning, most of the rain will be clear of New Brunswick. They'll have a chance of showers for the rest of the day, but it will be a rainy start to the day for Prince Edward Island and areas of Nova Scotia. Let's take a look at winds in the forecast for tonight. They become lighter as we head towards midnight, remaining mostly out of the west. Tomorrow's winds in the afternoon will be out of the southwest for the Maritimes, and they'll be sustained 10 to 20 kilometers per hour with some gusts between 20 and 40. Low temperatures in the region for tonight will be falling into a range of around 7 to 11 degrees for most of New Brunswick for tonight, down to around 12 for Bathurst, Miramichi, and Grand Manan. Charlottetown, Summerside tonight with low temperatures of around 14. And for the province of Nova Scotia, most of the low temperatures between 10 and 15 degrees. Here's a look at your high temperatures for Saturday. Up a little bit compared to today. Most of the highs for New Brunswick between 22 and 25, up to around 24 for Charlottetown and Summerside, many communities in Prince Edward Island. And for Nova Scotia, most of the high temperatures tomorrow between 22 and 26. Another note I wanted to give you about Saturday. Because of the change in wind direction and that approaching weather system, it does look like we might see the return of some of the wildfire smoke from those Ontario wildfires over the Maritimes to be increasing throughout the day. It would be most likely a thin high haze, but there is a slightly higher chance compared to earlier this week that some of it could filter down a little bit closer towards the surface, especially in western parts of the Maritimes. So you may want to monitor the air quality forecast for Saturday. Taking a look at the forecast for Sunday, it's rain clearing across Prince Edward Island, Nova Scotia in the morning. In behind it, there'll be a chance of a shower through the remainder of the day. Let's take a look at our weather watcher for tonight. And tonight's weather watcher is coming in from 7-year-old Charlie Blair from Hazelbrook, Australia. And Charlie is visiting grandparents in Nova Scotia and has sent us a drawing of all sorts of different weather. And there's even a little bit of weather trivia in there. Thank you, Charlie. And we'll go back over to Maria.
Thank you, Kaylin. Time for our final break. But first, a preview of our next story.
Hi, I'm Akambi here in New Glasgow, Nova Scotia. Coming up on CTV News at 5, big celebrations, not only for Canadians, but for this community where Corey Cheverie brings the Walter Cup to her hometown.
Corey Cheverie returned to New Glasgow today to a very special welcome. As CTV's Emma Convey shows us, fans and family came out to celebrate the hockey trailblazer and the Walter Cup.
Veronique and her daughter Laurie traveled 16 hours from Gatineau, Quebec to New Glasgow for this moment.
We love Corey.
Even more now. Corey Cheverie made history this year as the first female head coach to win a PWHL championship, guiding the Montreal Victoire to their first ever Walter Cup.
See Corey in the Walter Cup is very important. It's good for Montreal and for us.
And good for the country, becoming the first Canadian team to capture the cup.
This is where we want the biggest trophy in hockey on the women's side. We want it in Canada. And for us, we get it here for the next 365 days, until there's another winner. And for us, we're always looking to win.
She brought it home to give her hometown the chance to see it up close and personal.
I'm so happy that, we could bring the cup to Pictou County and bring it to New Glasgow and just share it with all the families, the community that supported me all the way through growing up and playing here, and it's just such a special moment.
Cheverie's mother helped plan a parade and barbecue to mark the occasion.
Walking through the crowd, it's amazing, it's incredible. There's hundreds and hundreds, if not more, people here today to support the women's hockey, which is so important. It's not just about Corey and the Walter Cup, but women's hockey in general. It's really taken off.
Really excited to meet Corey, and I remember watching the game after they won, and I was really hoping that she would come so we could see the cup.
And inspire fans.
I'm glad that some small things we do here is like involving the Women's League. It's really good to have more awareness about it here.
It's a lifetime thing to have the Walter Cup be here. You never know what's going to happen again.
I want to try to play in the PWHL. If not, I want to be a coach.
She encourages more women to participate in sport.
To be the person who will be, forever in history as the first woman to do it. I mean, being from New Glasgow, Nova Scotia, it's really special.
Emma Convey, CTV News, New Glasgow, Nova Scotia.
It is special, and congratulations, and thank you. Thank you for bringing it to the Maritimes. Outstanding.
Really
I just love
cool
that.
to see.
Yeah. Really cool to see some nice weather this weekend and some important wet weather too.
We got a little bit of everything for people in the Maritimes for this weekend. Yeah, it's a mixed sun and cloud on Saturday. Might be a little bit of wildfire smoke present from the fires in Ontario. And then, of course, we know for fires in the Maritimes and just the overall fire danger rating, some good news in that there is some rain in the forecast coming in Saturday night into at least the first part of Sunday for the Maritimes. So I will update on that. And, of course, take a look at what's coming up next week and all that in CTV News at 6.
Excellent. We'll see you and Todd at 6 o'clock. I'll see you on Monday. Have a great weekend, everybody. Thanks for watching. The national news is next.